Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. It's a beautiful Monday morning. Today is July 21st, 2025. And I think this is probably going to be the most important Zoom that we've ever had. But we'll let you judge that. Let me describe to you over the next few minutes what the Outsourced Business Development Program is. And the first thing that I want you to know as we get started, we are not selling you anything. We're not charging you anything for this. But let's go through it and I appreciate your constructive criticism. We have 537 of you on this morning. We have a total of about 800, 900 resellers across the country. If you're a current distribution partner, and or considering becoming one, this is going to be an incredibly relevant topic. So let's go ahead and get started. And again, we're going to talk about the commission only outsourced business development program. So let's start with a little background to make sure we all have a common understanding. So the first fact we need to realize is that there are literally millions of small businesses across the country that want to need funding. Great. There's lots of banks as well. Banks, credit unions, alternative lenders. But the problem is most of these small businesses, they do not have a fundable business. And of course, a lot of them don't even know what that means. Well, through the grant we received, we provide free Express Shelf Corps to small business owners so they can have a fundable business. And then we work with them, if they wish, through the two-phase program to get them at least 100,000. Now, nearly all of the clients want more and get more, but we do guarantee a minimum of 100,000. So there's no risk to the participant, to the grant participant. Now let's move on to the second paragraph. So here we're talking about our target audience, small businesses that want and need funding. Now let's flip it over and talk about our distribution model. So our reseller program is available, and how much does it cost to be a reseller? Not a penny. Not a penny now, not a penny later. Not even a contract you have to sign. No strings attached. So our reseller program is available at no cost to those that want to be a distribution partner. And to become one, you just go on 509pacific.org, fill out the inquiry form. We'll send everything to you. Now, resellers are paid twice. They're paid up front for each grant participant that enrolls in the Express Shelf Corp. So that's the upfront income. And then on the back end, 5% of the client's capital raise. Well, if each grant participant's guaranteed 100,000 and the resellers are making 5%, we can anticipate resellers will make at least 5,000 per referral. So what have we established so far? There's a big market opportunity, and we have a great way, an equitable way. I don't know anyone could argue, well, the reseller program is not a good deal. If it costs you nothing and you can help people solve their problems and you can make at least 5,000 a deal, that's a pretty good economic model. But the problem that we've had is that not all resellers are the same. So as it states here, some of our resellers, they don't have the competency, the time, and or the desire to go out and spread the word. So we've got some of you that are consistently at 100,000 income per month. That's great. And that's really what it was designed to do. But the truth is, there's a bunch of you that seem to struggle. And I'm not attacking you or your capabilities or your worth, but just the numbers don't lie, right? So we knew we needed to do something, and we kept trying different iterations of what do we do to help the low producers become high producers, because we see the high producers, we know it can be done, but a lot of the low producers are struggling. So, with that being said, we racked our brains and we thought, well, why don't we just do the logical thing? Let's look at what the top producers do. Now, there's two types of top producers in our model. Some have a big sphere of influence. Well, we can't really replicate that. You can certainly go out and become known in your community and speak and educate and all that, but that's difficult and time consuming. The other portion of our top producers, what they do is they generate leads. They spend money on advertising and they consistently generate leads. And they have typically right about 100 enrollments per month. So, since we can't really replicate that first group very easily, we thought, okay, let's try. Let's try for 1 month, for the month of August. What if we took what the top producers are doing, use their exact model, and made that available to the low producers? And we didn't charge for it except for just the ad spend. So that's kind of where we're at with the outsourced business development program. We have developed it, and certainly, anything that sounds too good to be true typically is, but this is damn close to too good to be true, because we're going to go generate the leads. We'll go through the details, but we're going to generate the leads. We're going to close the leads. We're going to collect the money from the client, and we're going to send you your part. I mean, literally, it's 100% outsourced. So the relevance of this is probably a bigger deal than what you're thinking. So is it something that any of you could plug and play into and start prospering in the month of August? Sure, and that's kind of obvious. But there's a much bigger relevance of this than even that. And I'm going to wait to see if that clicks with you, if it comes to your awareness. Because if it does, it changes everything. If it doesn't click by the end of the session, then I'll disclose that much bigger proposition to you. So we had talked in the past about, hey, you could go to Fiverr, you could get some gig workers, some commission-only salespeople that could go out. And some of you have been doing that with some success, but the problem is you've got to go find the commission-only people, you've got to manage them, you've got to train them, and you were still left with some elements of the sales process. Here, literally, it's 100% outsourced. All right, so let's go ahead and go through what we've incorporated in the outsourced business development program. And if you think there's something missing, let me know. But we've literally taken what our top producers are doing and we're replicating that. This is not building something new, and we even have some statistics to share with you how it's been working. And so this is great. So Selena, as we're talking, she's telling me how she's promoting on Craigslist. So Selena, you've got two options. You can keep putting time and effort in trying to find prospects, and then you explaining it to them, and then Selena, you closing them, and then you getting them under contract, and then you collecting money, or we can do all of that for you now, Selena, for free. Which of those sounds better, Selena? You doing the work or you doing none of the work? It's incredible. So let's go through what's included. So the first thing we need to do is, if we want to make sales, and I know some of you don't like to be called sales professionals, you don't want to be thinking of yourself as being in business development, but frankly, you're running a sales organization. If you're a reseller or a branch office, either one, you are running a sales organization. Now, maybe it's just you, that's fine. Maybe you're only part-time, that's fine. But I don't know how to convey any more emphatically, you are running a sales organization. Now, you may be doing a great job, you may be doing a shitty job, but that's what you do if you're a reseller or a branch office. So if we're running a sales organization, what is the first thing that we need to do to make money? We must have leads. We must have leads. And some of you, you'll go to your brother, your cousin, your barber, and try to find leads. And that's fine if you want to go to your warm market, but we never built this envisioning that. We're not at MLM, we're not network marketing. And some of you, no offense, you don't have a whole lot of credibility to go talk to your sphere of influence because things haven't worked out so well for you in your professional life, in your economic history. So in normal businesses don't just go target your warm market. Sure, you could do that and that's fine, but it's normally finding the people that have a problem and solving their problem. And so that's what our model was really built to do, is to go address those millions of small businesses, not just the people that you know. So, with that being said, we need leads. We need leads. We're not going to make any money. We're not going to help people if we don't have leads. And we need a shitload of leads. We need approximately 100 leads a month to make this worth everyone's while. So, we're going to provide leads to you. Now, this isn't some, oh, we're going to go buy leads that are shared. We're going to organically develop advertisements as we've been doing, and placing those advertisements online and generating leads of entrepreneurs who are actively seeking funding. So that's the first thing that we're going to do. If we just did this for you and nothing else, it would be a very, 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 very good deal. But there's so much more. So not only are we going to develop the advertisements, we're going to also place them. Now, most of you are sophisticated enough to know when you place advertisements, it's not free, right? You have to pay to advertise. It's too good to be true to think that we're going to run ads and Facebook or Instagram or wherever we're posting aren't going to charge. That's not the way that it works. So we're going to develop the advertisements. We're going to also place them, which means we're going to pay to have them up there so your prospects can see it. We're going to also provide a landing page. Now, this is a different landing page than the one we've been talking about. So it's not unusual that sales organizations have different landing pages for different purposes. So this landing page is specific to this type of campaign. It looks different and it acts different. So if you have one of our current landing pages, that's fine. But if you have our current landing page, you still got to go find the leads. And some of you are not very good at that. So this is primarily focused on getting the leads and driving them into this specific landing page. Now, with our landing page that we're using for the OBD program, it is built around educating and getting them into a Zoom, which we'll conduct. We're going to talk about that number 6 in a moment. We'll share with you the leads that come in so you see that it's working. We're going to email, text, and phone market to those leads, to those prospects. But ultimately, what we want to do is get them into Zooms. So we're going to be doing Zooms, not once in a while. And we're not talking about this morning Zoom, by the way. These morning Zooms are for you as distribution partners. We're talking about Zoom presentations explaining the proposition to your prospects. And we're not going to do those just once in a while. Those will be held multiple times per week. But it's our job to generate the leads, to get those leads in to these Zooms. And you're welcome to sit on the Zooms too. So that's fun. So our staff's going to schedule the Zooms, conduct the Zooms. And then afterwards, what do? We close the prospects. And what are we closing them into? The Express Shelf Corp, because that's what our branch offices and our resellers do. So there's no different to the proposition. I'm just showing you a proven sales model that's generating 100 plus deals per month and offering to do it for you for free. You just pay for the ad spend. So then our team will go ahead and collect the participation fee. So this is important here. So the Express Shelf Corp, because of the grant, it doesn't cost anything. There's just a processing fee, and that processing fee amount is determined by the distribution partner. So in this economic model, these enrollees are going to pay just short of $1,000. And then we're going to send you payment weekly. So that's a disadvantage if you did this yourself, because you could do all this yourself, right? You could go develop ads. You don't need us. You could go pay to place those ads. You don't need us. You could develop your own landing page. You don't need us. You could follow up with your leads. You don't really need us. You could conduct multiple Zooms every week. You don't really need us. You could go close your own leads. You don't really need us. You could go collect the money and pick whatever amount that you wanted to charge them. You don't really need us. It's just we're willing to do all of this for free through this concept. All you're going to do is paying the ad spend because someone's got to pay the ad spend. We'll get to that in a moment. So those are the, I guess, the both kind of the deliverables and the process of how it works. If you have questions, comments, concerns, Drake has the first question. So and he's asked this question. A few other people have too. So let's say that you enroll in the OBD. So it's kind of self-contained, A to Z. Great. But then the question Drake's asking is, what if you had someone outside of that? Well, we could do a couple things. You can still go close your own deals just like you're doing now. So this is self-contained, kind of a turnkey, hands-off approach. But yes, you can continue to do what you're doing the way that you're doing. But I look at some of you, and some of you are producing a good volume, but Drake, and no offense meant at all, Drake, but if I recall, and I'm pulling from memory, Drake, I think you've been with us over a month, and I think, if I recall, you've closed one deal in a month. So, it's a good start. But one deal, we're talking about doing at least 100 deals a month. So, yes, it would be fine if you wanted to supplement it. Here, we're talking about taking you out of the process, just making you money. So, let's go on and talk about the comp. So, when we built this, when you look at it logically, you'd say, well, there's got to be some cost for our team to do all of this. And there is a cost, but we're going to absorb it. We're going to absorb it for the first month so we can go show you how it works. So if you wanted to participate, it would be for a 1 month process. You pay nothing for us to do all of this. All that you're doing is paying the ad cost. So the ad cost is going directly to the ads. There's nothing going into our pocket. So we're subsidizing this for you for a month, and then we'll decide what we're going to do after the month of August. So there is a cost, though, after the sale. And so that's what we're going to go through now. So we are not going to charge you for the time, effort, and labor to do all of this. Not going to do it. But instead, we'll do a 50-50 split of your portion of the participation fee. Now, you're going to still earn the full back end, the 5%. But normally, if you've been around, so you know that the distribution partners choose what the participation fee is because the Shelf Corp itself is provided free by the grant. You know that we need at least 500 on our side, so normally anything above 500 is yours. In this case, the price point will be for this model. It's locked in. So if you want different pricing, don't participate in this model. It's going to be, this is called $1,000. So 1,000 minus 500 leaves 500. You're getting half, and then the team that's doing the work is going to get the other half. But it's a great deal, right? So sure, you're reducing your comp by half on the front end, no reduction on the back end, but you have no cost for the time, effort, and labor. All you're paying for is the placement of the ads. So, as it states here, so we only want people that are agreeing to fund what's called the ad cost. We looked at it real carefully and we felt that if we didn't have a monthly budget of at least $1,000 a month, which is the equivalent of what, $33.33 a day, it's not worth it. Because when you get ads up on Instagram, Facebook, and such, you need some volume. So if anyone doesn't have at least 1,000 a month in their marketing budget, dismiss this. It is not an option for you. So no reason to come back and say, well, I can afford $16 a month. Can we do it? It's just not worth it. It's not worth it. So, because there's a lot of work involved. So for 1 month, if you want to give it a try, you pay nothing for us to do all of this. No long-term commitment, just month to month. all you do is fund the ad cost. Now, I see a question that Scott has, and you're right. So you could spend more. You could spend more than 1,000. I would say just put your toes in the water. But sure, if you spent 2,000 for ad cost, it should double the income you would generate. If you spent 3,000, it should triple. But I'm not here trying to upsell you. And A, we don't make that much money. And B, we've got limited capacity. So we would like to help as many of you individually, but it would be up to you to set your budget no less than 1,000. If you don't have it, don't consider it. Paid up front. But we're going to apply that entire amount to ad spend. All right, so what are the expected results? And we do have a risk-free guarantee, which we'll get to. But what do we expect to happen? Well, the first thing in predicting the future is you look at the past. So we have a number of our distribution partners who have been doing this exact thing, with the same exact price, same process. So this is not something new. We're saying, well, let's see if it'll work or not. It absolutely works. It absolutely works. So, for example, we have just one distribution partner. We got his stats and he agreed to let us share them with you. He has spent so far this year, 2025, 117,924 and 73 in ad cost. Real money out of his pocket. And you might look at it and say, well, that's fucking crazy. Why would anyone go out and spend over $100,000 to advertise? That's insane. But what do we know as entrepreneurs? It's all about the ROI, right? So does he get dollar for dollar back? Does he break even and just hope for the future? Does he double his money? His same statistics, and we have all this in writing to validate, 5.4 million in sales. So it works. It works. Now, I will tell you, he is spending more than 1,000 a month. So I don't want to misrepresent that. So I am not suggesting, please don't misinterpret, that if you do this and spend 1,000 per month, that you'll get these numbers. He's spending a lot more than 1,000 a month, isn't he? But it's proportional, it's linear. What do we think will happen in your case? We think what will happen is you'll get, on average, we're looking over a month period, we believe that you'll probably get 3 to 4 leads generated per day. Over the course of the month, the goal is 100. And that makes sense, right? Three a day, around 30 days in the month, around 100. So that's what we think will happen. And we do expect, from that, an average of 1 client contracted per day. So there's a difference between how many leads do we get, and then we're looking at a 25 to 33% conversion. But we're not going to promise all of that. We're not going to make a bunch of promises that are too good to be true that puts unnecessary pressure on us, because we're going to do the best we can. We've got a vested interest in it as well, but we are going to put a risk-free guarantee in, and I'll share with that for you here below. We're going to make a simple guarantee that you at least break even. And if anyone came to any of you and said, hey, I've got this marketing concept, and they at least guaranteed you'd break even, you'd be a fool not to try it, especially if it's worked in the past, unless you're stone cold broke and don't have $1,000. So the risk-free guarantee is, we'll gladly refund your $1,000, no question asked, if we can't deliver. And deliver means if we don't get you at least 1 client. You might say, well, Tom, that makes no sense, right? 1 client is generic or dramatically less than what we think will happen, 30 in a month. Yeah, but I'm not here charging you anything. All you're doing is paying for the ad costs. But I don't even think it's necessary that we do this, but we're going to do it because I don't want you to say, well, it sounds fine and it's worked for other people, but I'm not sure if it'd work for you. Well, you're really not an important part of this, no offense, because we're using the same system we've been using. So there should be no variability from one reseller to the next. The system is the system. All right, limited availability. We'll open it up for Q&A, and I know there's quite a few questions you've been posting, so we're only going to enroll a handful of people. So, let us know if you want to try it. We're going to do this in the month of August, and then we'll revisit where we go from there. So in summary, through the OBD program, the Outsourced Business Development Program, we'll take care of the entire sales process. And you have no cost other than just the ad spend. I had a gentleman yesterday, and I don't know if he's just short-sighted, but he's like, well, I'm not going to pay for the ad spend. Well, then don't, right? Then go do whatever you're doing. But he's one of the guys that's struggling. Most sales organizations are going to have some marketing cost. And in this case, we're not asking you to pay for the knowledge or the time or the effort. Just cover the hard cost of the ads and let us show you how it works. Again, our website's 509pacific.org. So let me scroll up and shrink it down just a bit, and let's start diving into the questions, comments, concerns you have. To me, this is too good to pass up. It works, it's proven, it's risk-free, and all you're doing is paying for the ad spend. So let's go through. All right, John says, well done. Thank you, John. Selena says she needs this. And I think even those of you that are successful, I think you'd be a fool, forgive me for saying it, for not trying it. Now, what this is not teaching you how to do this. We tried that on a limited basis. And frankly, some of you that are on the Zoom today, we've attempted to train you to do all of this. And it didn't work out consistently because some of you weren't committed to having multiple Zooms per day. Some of you wouldn't follow our direction on how to place the ads. So now we're going to remove you out of the equation. We'll handle it all. But no, I don't want you to think that this is some training program that after a month you'll know how to do all this. It's not like they're secrets, but we can't be spending a lot of time talking to you when we're not charging any admin cost. So we'll just go do the work. You'll just get the results. You'll get the money. No, it's not a coaching or certification program. Steve asked how to get started. So go over to 509pacific.org, and on our website, there's an inquiry form to be a branch office or a reseller. Reseller's free, branch is not free, by the way, but fill out the form if you're not already in our system, which I don't think you are, sir, and then we can reach out to you. We have our phone number, which is on 509pacific.org. It's a 903 number. You'll see it at the bottom of the website. Give us a call if you're wanting to participate, but only participate if you have a marketing budget of at least $1,000 to pay now and we'll use it in the month of August. There's just no reason for you to waste your time or our time if this is not in your budget. All right, let's see here. What other questions, comments, concerns we have. And so we address those of you that have outside leads. So those of you that have outside leads, keep doing what you're doing the same way that you're doing it. We're not changing outside leads. This is self-contained because we're developing ads, so the leads that come from it are responding to the ads. They're thinking what we want them to think. They're coming from reputable places. They're coming through the landing page. The Zoom that we do matches all of that. So no, we're not looking to bring in your outside leads into the system, because it's possible what you describe to them is different than what we describe or how we describe. And so then that can really convolute it. So this is a self-contained development program. Any leads you have outside of this, you would handle as you do now. Scott's asking kind of what he's giving up. So, and I think it's here. So there's two things you're giving up. You're giving up half of your half of the participation fee. So we can pay the people that are actually doing the work based upon results. So you're giving up $250 on the front end. You're still keeping everything on the back end. And you're budgeting for ad spend. So those are the two economic considerations. But I would argue if you all are serious about making an adult income, you're going to need some ad spend somehow, somewhere. To have a sales organization with no marketing budget is probably not going to be a successful one. So I wouldn't even count that. So what you're really giving up is $250 a pop on the front end, but you're still making it all on the back. Hopefully that helps, Scott. Let's see what other questions we have. Mike C from the USA, as he likes to call himself. Yeah, so I mean we've covered you're making the 5% on the back end, so I feel like you're asking that question, Mike C from the USA, but maybe I don't understand. Maybe you can ask differently if I'm not answering your question. Jerome's asking the cost. I've gone through it. Mark asks, who wouldn't do this? Well, I think the only people that wouldn't do it would be those that just can't afford it. Because if you're in as a reseller or a branch office, you're here to help people and make money. And there's no reason for that group of people to not do it. If you just simply are broke and you have the inability to have any ad spend, then of course you couldn't do it. It's not that you shouldn't do it or wouldn't do it, but if you just are insolvent, then of course you can't. Drake says he's good at finding people, but not good at closing, and that kind of goes back to my point. So no, we're not going to do individual pieces because it doesn't work fluidly. So Drake, you're great, but you're out spreading the word the way you spread it. For your leads, you need to close, but we'll close through this system for the reasons I've stated. All right. Mark's clarifying, yeah. So all you would need is $1,000 for ad spend. All of it's going to ads, no admin cost. And we would use that in the month of August. So that's correct, Mark. JC asks, does a reseller need to be set up as a LLC or corporation? No, that really doesn't matter. We're going to forward money to you each week of what was generated the prior week, and we can send it to you to whatever account you want. We'll wire it to you normally, or if you want to check, but we'd rather wire it to you. Steve says he wants it, but yeah, just go to 509pacific.org. You can get more familiar with our reseller and branch office because you need to be one of those two, right? You need to either be a reseller or a branch office. Reseller costs nothing. Branch office, there's more involved. There is a cost. Doesn't matter to me. Eventually, this may only be available to the branch offices, but for the month of August, we're going to make it available to anyone. But I think some of you are reading between the lines. This was really developed to do targeted marketing in specific geographic areas to support our branch offices. But we're still building out the branches, so it is available to resellers for the month of August. All right, let's see what other questions we have. Yeah, so again, anyone wants to try it, I'm not so good at taking notes. Just give us a call. Our phone number is on 509pacific.org. It's a 903 number. Call us. Most likely Madison will answer. If she doesn't, you can leave a message and then we'll invoice you. There's not a contract to sign. We'll send you an invoice. The invoice will be for $1,000 of ad spend. We'll clarify that this is what we promised to do. And if you pay the invoice, then you're in. Super simple. John says it's a good offer. Yes, I think it's a great offer. Tram says sign him up now. Now, I want to close. There's some other questions, but there's something else that's really, really important that if you don't see, I'm going to point out to you. And I say this with complete credibility and legitimacy. So everything we said is true, right? So this is great for our resellers and branch offices. I think we've established that. But let's think about clients for a moment. Let's turn the page. Let's take you out of it. So you have a client that's looking for business funding, right? So we provide them the Express Shelf Corp, the normal proposition. But what is it that affects the amount of funding that a small business can get? It's called the three C's. We've talked about that many times before: credit, collateral, capacity. Well, we help them build strong business credit, so that's included. We help them we provide them collateral, so that's not a problem. But the third C is capacity. Can the business afford the amount of money they want to borrow? Well, what we can do, and we do, is build financial projections to say, yes, bank or lender, if the client had this amount of injection of funds, here's how we would use it, and then here's the expected future revenue. And so that works. But what would make that file stronger for the client? So again, we're not talking about you, we're talking about clients. If you could have your client plug into this, even let's say they have no freaking, let's say they're a plumber, they're a mechanic, they have no freaking interest in doing anything that you and I do, but they want funding. Do you not think that if we could plug them into this for 1 month where they had $1,000 ad spend, just like we're saying, and we could generate 100,000 of bank deposits that's 100% passive for them, you don't think that they would have more borrowing capacity? If you don't think that, you're wrong. So we're not here pushing this on clients. Don't interpret it that way. But hopefully you're able to step back and say, this is not only a good deal for you all, this is a freaking game changer for clients. Because the more money a client has coming in, the more borrowing capacity they have. Now, typically people will fall into this mindset. Well, if I had plenty of money coming in, I wouldn't need to borrow money. Well, that's fine. Let's not debate that. But you can't argue the fact that if we could plug your clients into this, which there's no cost, they're just spending the ad spend again, we're not charging admin, and we could pump in a shitload of money into their bank account in the first month, you don't think that that would exponentially increase their borrowing capacity? Of course it would. All right, let's see here. Jennifer asks, can you be outside of the US? Yes, that's not a problem. Um, yeah, so eventually this may only be available for branch offices, but we don't need to worry about that. So right now it's available to anyone for the month of August. I do think that this will probably encourage some of you to have a branch office because a branch office is a different campaign. It doesn't compete with this. This is a hands-off delegated passive income. Having a branch office isn't, right? You have a physical office and you're out in the community, but one doesn't compete with the other. They're complementary outreach programs. All right, with that being said, I don't know, there's 150 more conversations, so we're about to run out of time here. So, with that being said, hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully, you see that this is a proven, valuable resource. You may or may not want to participate. Doesn't really matter to me. If you are interested, call us on 509pacific.org. Our phone number is on there. Give us a call. For those of you that are using our support text, you can support or you can text the support line. We're just going to simply send you an invoice. If you don't want to pay the invoice, don't pay the invoice. You're not going to get any trouble. There's no contract. It's just we'll send you an invoice if you say you want one for $1,000 ad spend. It'll state everything we're promising to do. And then if you pay the invoice, then you're in. If you don't pay the invoice, no problem, no worries. Do it your own way. And again, I'm not here saying that we're smarter than you. I don't think we are. But we've done this long enough. We've proven that it works. So you can either do it our way or you can do it your way. But it's not too difficult to look at how has your way been producing. So for those of you like Christina, like Clinton, like Denver, uh, Ebony. I mean, look at your numbers. What kind of numbers, Ernest? What kind of numbers are you generating in July? If you're on track for 100,000 for the month of July, you may just not need this. However, I don't know you could find a reason to not give it a try because you're paying nothing other than the direct ad spend, and we're guaranteeing at least a break even. All right, thanks everyone. Talk to you soon. See you back tomorrow morning. Let us know if you'd like to participate. Have a good day. Bye.